Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So today is going to be the August garden tour. Throughout the garden season I did weekly tours, but I wrapped those up at the very beginning of August, I think it was. So this is going to be my middle of August garden tour, and it's a little bit of a messy garden tour because today I started the purge, the big go through the garden beds, rip everything out, start making room for other things, making room for things like cabbage and broccoli and all of that. And so I came through here and I just started pulling stuff out. So this is sort of a bit of a transitional garden at this point. Yes, let's get going. So this garden tour is actually part of the Homesteaders of America series. A bunch of channels had signed up to do garden tours. Some people did weekly tours like I did through the garden season, and some people just did them once a month or maybe twice a month. But there was a whole bunch of channels that participated, and there is a playlist which I will link down below where you can find all of the tours. It's really fun getting to go through and see what other people are growing, how they're growing it, what they're struggling with, what they do to manage issues that they're having, and it's just a great way to learn gardening tips and tricks from one another and be inspired. So as I said, the big purge has begun, and you will notice that you can actually see the trellis out here. Mr. Smith actually commented how it actually looks kind of bare out here, and it sort of kind of does. But the tomato plants were toast. Very blighty, very sick, and that's just the way it works. We live in the south, there's a lot of humidity. As you can see back here behind me, the loofah gourd trellis jungle is still going great. I actually pruned back a ton of this today, and I'm hoping that that will stimulate the plants to actually begin growing loofah gourds, because as of right now, I'm not even seeing blossoms up there. And that's kind of how it was last year. I grew these and the vines grew and grew and grew, and then towards the end of summer it suddenly started flowering, growing gourds, and I was able to get, well, there was probably 40 gourds on there, but then we had an early frost, and so most of them were ruined, unfortunately, because once you get a frost, your gourds are done. I mean, if they freeze, that's it. There's no more saving them. So I got a big old spider web up here. So my Kajari melon that's over here on this side of the trellis, you can see the leaves are getting a bit spotty. Some of the leaves are looking pretty good, but some of them are looking nasty like this. However, I do have a bunch of Kajari melons that are suddenly growing, and I've got more than I realized. When I pulled out all of the excess foliage and trimmed things back today, I discovered a few more Kajari melons, and so I'm really hoping that I'm able to get these, that they grow well and I'm able to harvest them. So I mentioned in a video last week that when I was actually able to try the Kajari melon for the first time, I was so excited because I have food intolerances that I have developed and food allergies, and some of my favorite things are cantaloupe and honeydew, and I cannot have them at all anymore. But the wonderful Kajari melon, which to me tastes like a cross between a cantaloupe and a honeydew, I can eat it without issue. So I was so excited. So I'm really hoping to get a few more before they're gone for the season. So down here in the long bed, a lot of this has been cleared out, Don't have anything planted in there in the spaces that you see. They will be. First I'll top it off with some soil and compost, just to kind of refreshen it a little bit, and then I will plant other things. That is my pineapple sage. That is a late summer flowering sage. It gets beautiful crimson flowers on it, about the color of these zinnias that you see here. And ooh my, look at this guy. Whew. Well, he was kind of quick. I don't know if you saw him, but that was a giant, whatever it was, grasshopper, katydid, I don't know. So again, lots of open space where I will be able to plant other things. This right here, there's a piece of tomato plant that I missed earlier. This plant right here is chicory, and in the mornings the flowers will open up. I actually got a little video clip this morning so that you could see what the chicory blossoms look like. So this garden bed was actually so full that there were things planted in here that I almost forgot were in here. Like right down over there, I have some purslane. Totally forgot that I planted purslane in this garden bed. And then there's things that really struggled, like this tricolor sage. It pretty much got suffocated down in here. It wasn't really getting any light, and it was really struggling. So hopefully now that this is cleared out, that I'm hoping this will come back and fill out once again. My oregano, I'm gonna clean a bunch of this out. I didn't really touch this today, but I'm going to clean a bunch of this up and just make it generally look tidier. So over in here, again, this is just another really full bed. I cut back all of the dead heads. Well, most of them. I see a couple that I missed. On the bee balm over there. And again, we've got some more chicory here. My angel-faced snapdragons are blooming again. These things are so cool looking. And the cucumber trellis is completely cleared off. As I was going through there and taking all the vines down and all of that, I was really looking for praying mantises, because last year when I cleared the cucumbers off of the same trellis, I had praying mantises all over the place, and I kept having to rescue them because I was afraid I was going to step on them or squish them or harm them in some way. But today I didn't actually see any on there, which was kind of disappointing. I know some people are kind of freaked out by praying mantises, but I think they are absolutely fascinating, and I am so tickled when I see them in the garden. I think they're so cool. Down here, this bed, I have a shade cloth on here because, like I said, it's been so hot and so dry and sunny and everything else. And this bed is planted with carrots and more carrots and some spinach, and what else do I have in here? Beets and parsnips. And so I've got the shade cloth on here because if carrot seeds and parsnip seeds, if they dry out, like if they germinate and they begin to grow and then they completely dry out, they're done. They're dead. They're never going to grow again. And so that has been one of the struggles for me growing carrots. And I actually did a trick this year where you plant the seeds and then you cover it with wood. You just lay the wood on top of the soil, and it holds in the moisture and protects the seeds from the intense heat and protects them from drying out and gives them a better chance at germination. And it seemed to work. So if you look right down here, you can see my little baby carrot plants that are coming up. I don't know if every variety is going to come up, but quite frankly, just seeing a few at all is exciting to me because I've really struggled with the carrots. So my fingers are crossed that it is successful this year. Now, this bed over here is full and beautiful still. This is one of my pepper beds, and I have got peppers galore. I've almost got more peppers than I know what to do with. Right down here you can see I've got a whole bunch of bell peppers growing in here, and there's actually a few, well, there's a bunch of peppers I need to harvest. But we've got bell peppers. These here are cubanelles. These are Lushar paprikas, and like this one right here is ready to harvest and dry. Over in there, I've got a whole bunch of pepperoncini peppers. Right down in there, you can see the variegated leaves. Those are the jigsaw peppers. Let's see, these are jalapenos. Down here, this is sweet Myra peppers. They're a white sweet pepper. And then down here on the end, these are the Chinese 5-color peppers. They're a bit of a spicy pepper. They're kind of like a cayenne pepper, which I did not actually grow any cayenne peppers this year. But if you let these ripen to the full red color, they are very similar to a cayenne, and you can easily use them ground up, just like cayenne pepper in your recipes. And you can see down in here where there are some red ones down there. So these peppers start out purple, and then they move to that kind of creamy color right here. Then they go to a yellow, and then they go to orange, and then finally red. Chinese 5-color. Okay, so right down in there, you can see there's some bright orangey red peppers. Those are Alma paprika peppers, and those are almost ready to harvest. This is my last seashell Cosmo plant, and aren't these Cosmos just gorgeous? They are so pretty. But this is the last one that's hung on. The other ones were just looking awful and mostly shriveled up, so I pulled them all out. But this one is still hanging on. We've still got new buds happening. These are butterfly flowers, also called milkweed or swamp milkweed, and they have not yet flowered. I think they flower later in the summer than the other butterfly flowers that I have planted, or milkweed that I have planted, because my yellow ones have already flowered and are producing seed pods, whereas these have not yet even flowered. So this particular garden area is directly in front of my house, so it's kind of like when I'm sitting on my front porch, I feel like I'm in the garden. And this area is primarily raised beds. Down at the far end we do have some fruit trees that we had planted, some boysenberries, and I have some little baby goji berries that I planted this year, which I had some issues with one of them getting eaten, and I couldn't figure out what was eating my plants, my goji berries. I think I figured it out. This garden, while it is fenced in, it does not have rabbit fencing at the bottom, and rabbits can get in here. I think it was a rabbit that stripped my goji berry plant. So I need to put rings around those bushes to protect them, because right now there's too much stuff grown up around the bottom of the fencing for me to put rabbit fencing out here. That'll be something that I'll have to do this winter. But I can at least put the rings around those little baby gojis to protect them from getting eaten any further. So this is the front garden as of right now. Alright, so this is the in-ground garden, which is more of a traditional garden. However, we don't till these beds any longer. They are now no-till garden beds. We do that sort of permaculture technique So again, this is sort of a transitional phase. There's things being pulled out, like some of my drip line. This is one that actually broke. It got split somehow. I might have hit it with a tool. And so it used to run down through here. And so as I was going through and pulling things out, I just pulled it out and laid it right there. I need to disconnect it and put a replacement piece in. All of these are Persian carpet zinnias. They're very small little zinnias, but I love the variation in them. Some of them look like marigolds, and some of them have this more red, kind of Indian carpet sort of design. Then you've got the yellow ones, the plain orange ones. They're such cheerful fall colors. We've got a sunflower. I don't know what variety this is, but it's a sunflower. All right, so now right down in here, I planted some Magnolia tendril peas, and I can see they are beginning to come up. I don't think they're all coming up, but I do see a bunch of them, so that is encouraging. So now looking from this side, you can see all of these zinnias, and there were more of them. I've actually pulled some of them out. All of these zinnias that you see here, with the exception of those right there, all of these zinnias were volunteers. I did not plant any of them. They all came back on their own. Over there on that side, I had okra all down through here. Again, all volunteers, didn't plant any of it. These zinnias right here are the Queen Lime Orange zinnias, and these are seeds I got from Baker Creek, and they're the only zinnias that I planted in this bed this year, or in this garden at all, really. So up here on the trellis, you can see a jungle of Chinese noodle beans, and I planted the Chinese noodle beans. The slugs ate most of them. Then I replanted. Then I had issues with other pests, and I honestly didn't think I was going to get any Chinese noodle beans. And as you can see, we got more than we could eat. Unfortunately, Chinese noodle beans are something that need to be eaten fresh. You can't freeze them, you can't can them, because really they're related to chickpeas, if I remember correctly. So you can let the pods dry and take the seed inside out and cook them like chickpeas. But yeah, they're so prolific, we could not keep up with them all. And speaking of prolific, right up there you can see a whole bunch of okra. We have actually decided that we're not going to plant okra again because, to be quite honest, we don't eat it a lot. We just don't eat okra very often, and so we end up with a lot of extra okra that ends up going to waste because we just don't eat it enough. So we're not going to plant it again. I would not be surprised to see some volunteers show up in the garden next year, but we're not going to intentionally plant it just because we don't, like I said, we don't eat it enough. So now swinging over to this side, I've got a whole bunch of Jubilee watermelons, and I believe they are just about ready to get picked. As you can see, the vines are starting to die back, and we've got these watermelons, and there's a couple really good sized ones in here. And so I'm really excited because watermelon is one of the fruits that I can eat without any sort of issue, and there is just nothing like homegrown watermelon. So I just discovered something. I'll be grabbing a glove because I'm a little squeamish about touching stuff like this with my bare hands. But I have not dealt with any of these this year at all, which is shocking. Normally they are the tomato's worst enemy, and that is tomato hornworms. But I just found some in my Tabasco peppers. So I have a patch of Tabasco peppers right down here at the end of this garden bed. These were all volunteers. Honestly, most of the stuff that grew in this bed was volunteers, from the okra to the zinnias, even some of the Chinese noodle beans, to these peppers. And these are just about ready to begin harvesting, so I need to deal with these little beasts. And because I have spotted 2 of them, that one there and another one right there, that means I'm going to need to come out here with my black light to look for more. Now, if you've ever wondered how to get rid of tomato hornworms because they are so camouflaged, it's the black light. You can get a black light, very inexpensive. It's a little flashlight. My local Lowe's sells them for like $9, $10, and you just come out here, you shine them on your plants, your tomato plants, whatever it is. I mean, go through your whole garden. The minute that black light hits a tomato hornworm, they glow. They glow like, I don't know, like tennis shoes in a black light funhouse. So they're very easy to spot. You cannot miss them. But amazingly, with all of the pests that we dealt with this year, stuff I've never seen before, for the first time this year we had the squash vine borers. When I was clearing out my zucchini bed this morning, I actually broke one of the plants and saw one of those little beasts with my own eyes. I'll show you here what it looks like. So yeah, they tend to be a problem, but we've never had them here before until this year. Now over here, this is the newest addition. This is a bed that I did actually till. I don't use my tiller very much anymore, but I had tarped this off with black plastic, which I need to roll up and put away. Had it covered up for actually a couple of months. Originally we were going to plant corn here, but we decided that, you know, Mr. Smith and I both really like canned green beans, and we've got some fantastic farmers markets around here. There's a farm stand very close, kind of local to us, and they have amazing sweet corn, and so we can just get the corn there and utilize this space for planting green beans. And so as you can see, I've got a whole row of trellis. We did it teepee style this time with cattle panels cut in half, and both sides are all Kentucky Wonder pole beans, and so they are coming up. I'm very excited, and hopefully we can get a good bunch of beans that I can. All right, so that is the garden tour. Like I said, sort of a transitional, kind of messy garden tour post the purge, or the first of the purges, which took place this morning. And it's sort of a bittersweet time for the garden. It's sweet because it's been very productive. It's been very fulfilling and rewarding, and there's been so much stuff we've gotten out of the garden, things that I've frozen and dehydrated and canned and consumed fresh and shared with friends, and I've loved every minute of it, and even every drop of sweat that I just poured working out here this year. I loved every bit of it. And it's sweet in that after all of the work, we're getting a little bit of a break, which gives me time to work on some other things. But it is also kind of sad because it has brought so much joy, and you really hate to see the plants dying back and knowing that it won't be long before it's all gone, and winter will be coming, but we'll have all those things in the pantry that we can enjoy all throughout the rest of the year. And before I forget, let me get those boogers off my plants. So if you are not already subscribed, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button And I also have a free newsletter that you can sign up for that will keep you up to date on everything that is happening on Cosmopolitan Cornbread, both the YouTube channel here as well as my blog, cosmopolitancornbread.com, where I've been a writer for many years. And you can find hundreds of recipes and articles on the blog there. Come off, you beast. Look at those nasty things. Now I do about 3 videos a week on homesteading, home cooking, and back to basics. And occasional Bible study, faith devotionals. Be sure to check out all of the other channels and garden tours in the Homesteaders of America series. And again, I will link that down below so that you can find the playlist and watch the other tours. And so with that, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Oh, and in case you were wondering what I was going to do with these things, these are chicken delicacies.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future